In this video, I'm going to provide an overview of the Urim and Thummim divination kit and how to use it. So it comes with the book, and then it comes with the bag that can hold your divination devices, which it'll come with 2 dreidels and then either 2 12-sided dice or 4 6-sided dice, and then it'll come with 7 cards. Each of the cards is 2-sided, and they represent the 12 different tribes of Israel according to the number of their birth. So the firstborn was Reuben, and that is number 1. The second one is Simeon with the number 2. Each of the cards provides information about the tribe based on the name that was given to them by birth, by their mother, and then the blessings from both Jacob and Moses are on there. We also have one card that provides a summary of each of them. So if you just want a basic divination meaning, you could look up Reuben and it'll give you a simplified version of what is associated with Reuben. If you wanted more information, you could go to the card and it'll provide a more detailed information. And if you want the most information, then you could go into the book and then you could look up the tribe. For like example, this is Judah, and then it would have all the information on Judah, but then it'll go into a more in-depth explanation, and it'll show information from the Testament of Judah that's related to it, so you could get a complete overview of that tribe. There are a few different options on how you want to use this kit for divination. You have the bag, and you could have all the accessories fit into the bag. And one method would be to reach into the bag and then draw one card. And whatever card it is, that's the information and symbolism that you interpret. So in this case, you would look at all the attributes of Simeon. So that's what the cards are used for, or the cards could be used as a reference to look up the information. The other option is using dice. I've included either 2 12-sided dice or 4 6-sided dice. And you could use either one. It's just a matter of personal preference, like most divination. So if you were using the 12-sided dice, you have the Urim and the Thummim, which means light and wholeness. So I would use the white one would represent the Urim, which would mean light, and then the black one would be the Thummim of completeness, because black is inclusive of all colors. So if you reached into the bag and say that you drew the white dice, you would roll the dice and then see what you have, which this is a dalet. You can look at the dalet on here, find it, which is right here is number 4, or on the book, number 4, which is Yehuda. And then you could go to the sample card and find Judah or Yehuda, and then see what his attributes are. That is, the basic meaning of his name is praise to God or gratitude. His attributes, which would be in the Urim section, would be leadership and persuasion, because he was the leader. So the light version of looking at the positive aspects only, you'll be looking at reading the information from the Urim. If you were to draw the Thummim and get the black one, then you would look at this section, which that would include both his positive attributes that are in the light of leadership and persuasion, but then you'd also look at his negative attributes of drunkenness and arrogance. And you would use that information to answer your question, and depending on what your question, how you interpret that symbolism is going to be a product of your intuition. Another method you could use is to use the dreidels, which you have one light-colored and one dark-colored dreidels representing the Urim and Thummim, and you could use that by reaching your hand in and selecting one dreidel and seeing what color it is, and it'd be like flipping a coin, heads or tails, or yes or no. In order to use the dreidel to select one of the 12 drives, you're going to use it in accordance with the breastplate of judgment by first spinning the dreidel and then looking at the side of the breastplate. So this one was a gimel, so you're going to count down. So the first one, count down, so the first one is gimel down here. So you're going to look at this row, and then you're going to spin the dreidel again to get it again. So I rolled the gimel a second time, so it would be 2 over, just like this is 1, 2, then you would go 1, 2. If you go 4 over, then you go off the breastplate. Like if you got a shin on the second one, then I would say, okay, starting over, and I would just start over and roll again. But in this one, I got gimel, gimel, so I would start gimel on this row, and then the next one's count over, which I'd count to that, and then it would select the tribe of Dan. Or if it was on the dice, it would be a hay based on the dice. Like that. And then you have the choices of looking up Dan, reading it off of the card, reading the summary, or going into the book and finding Dan and reading the short chapter on Dan that gives his information.